Wait, my friend, and yes, I'm talking to you. I just found out those are still a thing in America. Okay, we're going to this. I did it. I went to an American drive-in movie theater. Look, real talk, I knew those used to be big in America back in the day, but I was not aware at all that they are still common nowadays. That's fascinating. Actually, one question to you. When was the last time you went to a drive-in movie theater? I would love to know that. But before we go into the video, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it. Oh boy, I'm so excited. Yearville. Oh my god, that's a massive car. Man, Americans. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, let's go.
Hello, I'm Lawrence,
Hey,
and
Lawrence.
I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the
I know.
pond, and one of those memos pertains to drive-in movie theatres. As someone
You know what's crazy, my friends? In America, you guys have drive-thrus for everything. What's next? Are you going to get married in a drive-thru?
who's lived in the United
Crazy.
States for about 13 years and has seen countless films in that time, I was stunned to discover while looking back through my yearly diaries that I don't actually keep, that I hadn't yet partaken in what was formerly a popular pastime here in the United States.
Okay.
And I suspect that Lawrence from 14 years ago would have been surprised to hear this, given that I probably believed that going to the drive-in movie theatre was all Americans did. I was young.
Wait, you can bring popcorn? That's legal? Well, in the Midwest, you may pick from the field. It's crazy.
I was naive and I needed the money. I've just realised that was about something else. But in some respects, it's probably no wonder that I was given this impression. You see, ironically, I became aware of this phenomenon of drive-in movie theatres via American movies. With
Yeah, that's kind of ironic, right? Because I used to see those in movies all the time. You know, yeah.
drive-ins depicted in some of America's best films and also Twister. I did not encounter them in Britain. But, you know, like a mad scientist using a teleportation device, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I go any further, what are drive-in movie theatres? Well, in the
It's a great
simplest of
question.
terms, they are outdoor cinemas that you can watch from the comfort or discomfort of your car. And for a while there, they were
Well, those are not free, right? You still have to pay.
a huge deal in the United States of America. In fact, surprisingly, the origins of the drive-in movie theatre go back over 100 years. In
Wow.
1915, a partial drive-in theatre known as Theatre de Guadalupe was opened in New Mexico, showed silent movies for a year, and then closed. And it wasn't
So, my friends, it's fair to say that those end up being quite more popular back in the day. But I have a lot of people that grew up in the 70s, in the 80s, sometimes even in the 60s. So you guys may remember how popular those end up being, correct?
until the 1930s and the end of the silent era that the first patented drive-in movie theatre opened in New Jersey. And
Oh,
this
that's
Depression-era
awesome.
craze swept across the land, and drive-in theatres were opening everywhere. And after World War II, it all went from strength to strength as both the population and car ownership skyrocketed.
Hi, you hungry? Looking for a tempting treat? Hold on till I absorb some heat. Some added tang might please you too. I'll slide into an oven-fresh bun, and I'm ready for your eating fun.
Okay.
Why don't you try a juicy good hot dog? Mmm, delicious.
And drive-ins were
I love old commercials.
particularly popular in rural areas, and there's a couple of reasons for this, and none of them have to do with cows. Firstly, it's quiet in the countryside. Out there are no sports cars
point.
honking their horns at all hours of the day because a cyclist just looked at them funny. Out there, with the exception of the occasional crop duster and horses clicking their hooves, you could just hear the sound of the film that much better if the audio
Wow.
equipment worked. I am unreasonably excited by the fact that they have little speakers outside of the car, and you hook them on.
How crazy is this, my friends? So the first time no, not, yes, I would say the first time, but basically the way I ended up finding out those are still a thing was in a video of him, that it was about different stuff, but he ended up talking about drive-in movie theaters. And I thought, yeah, I really have to take a look at this in a closer look. My friends, this is awesome. This is awesome.
The window frame. Another reason, of course, that drive-in movie theatres are more suited to rural areas is the relative lack of artificial light in the surrounding area. You see, for the projection to...
You know what? I'm learning a lot, my friends. But this makes quite more sense that rural let's speak American, forget English. Rural areas are better for this, I mean.
Is the relative lack of artificial light in the surrounding area. You see, for the projection to work in any meaningful way, it has to be nighttime, otherwise you can't see what the heck is on the screen.
Anyway. So, sorry, but I assume finding one of those in California, New York City in this case, is probably impossible, right? But if you go to Midwest, maybe even Texas, my friends, you may be able to find.
Between the 1970s and 1990s, drive-in movie theatres in the United States started to see a decline. And there wasn't just one singular reason for this, but a whole host of them. From the expansion of home entertainment to the imposition of daylight savings time, meaning that films had to start an hour later, which is an absolute crisis if you're watching Gone with the Wind. And furthermore, real estate interest rate hikes of the 70s and 80s led to substantial increases in the cost of the land, meaning that drive-in theatres were becoming less and less viable. And as time...
Oh, that's sad, my friends. Honestly, that's sad. I understand all the arguments, but that's such an American thing.
Time wore on, many of these old drive-in theatres were repurposed as flea markets, which I can confirm are not markets that sell fleas. However, a handful of them did remain open, and to this day there are approximately 330 drive-in theatres in America. And one of those is the Route 34 drive-in.
But you know what? You can see that they are very common in the Midwest, right? This region. Now take a look at that. Nothing.
Theaters in America.
Actually, there is a lot in California. What I was saying, in California, no way. Even in New York. Okay, not New York City, but wow.
America. And one of those is the Route 34 drive-in in Earlville, Illinois.
Hey, are you excited?
Yeah, I am, despite my face, because I'm about to get a really authentic 1975 experience. Not only are we at the drive-in theatre, but we're going to watch Jaws, admittedly from a Prius.
What a movie.
Once we'd set up the speaker and we witnessed Chrissy Watkins getting mauled, we didn't have many sound issues, except I couldn't understand half the words of Mr. Quint, which is consistent with every viewing I've ever had of Jaws. And this was good because it meant we could stick with the old school speakers instead of trying out this modern Bluetooth malarkey. Anyway, Jaws is still great even if I continue to root for the shark. Now, back in the day when I dreamed about going to one of these drive-in theatres, I always assumed I'd turn up in a Cadillac convertible like...
You know what? I never saw the movie Twister, but a lot of people tell me about that movie. And seems like there is a scene with a drive-in movie theater. So what are the odds that when I'm in Texas, I find a drive-in movie theater that is actually, with the movie that they are playing is Twister? That's impossible, right? I'm dreaming like crazy. Well,
Elvis. And so because we sat through a 2-hour film inside an enclosed car, it did get a little bit stuffy. And so we made the decision, a decision that everybody else had made before Jaws, to watch the second film, Jurassic World, outside of the vehicle. And partly because of the resulting mosquitoes, I did root for the dinosaurs. In all, I actually really enjoyed the entire experience. She made me do this. And if I could bring back
this seems an awesome experience, my friends. This really seems an awesome experience. Actually, again, I know I'm asking a lot of stuff like always. But do you guys have good memories? Maybe going to a date here or something.
In theatres en masse using my YouTube sensation powers, I would do it in a heartbeat. Actually, there is one other thing that's partially renewed interest in them. The pandemic. Not only are they easier to find in the United States if you know where to look, but in 2020, even in Britain, the country went from 3 drive-in theatres to 40. Yay for the pandemic.
Wow.
That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comments below if you've been to a
you.
drive-in theatre recently or did so in your
Never
past.
went, my
I'm
friend.
Lawrence Brown. You can follow me on Twitter at LostInThePondUS and be sure to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond.
do it for
and
me
a
also.
cinema screen size shout.
My friends, now real talk, show him all the support. This was an awesome video, you know, makes me happy that even if they are not as popular anymore, they are still a thing. Man, I always wonder if I have anyone that went to one recently or have good memories, because this channel is about this, my friend. I read most of the comments, so feel free to leave me a comment related with this topic, of course. But yeah, thank you so much. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.